Hey y'all, welcome back to InDFlix. This episode 8, things got real fast in this one. Families meet still, but spoiler alert, Katisha walks away from Javen after hearing troubling things and sparks fire between Megan and Javen in the confrontation that's as raw as it is revealing. Let's break it all down. If you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like and leave your comments down below. We'll jump into it. So we pick back up. Remember, Javen went out to hang out with the rest of the castmates or whatever after they had their mingling session, and Katisha felt away. We seen her crying at the end of the episode. She brings it up to him like, do you think that I may have been upset that you just left me? He was like, no, you ain't say anything. It's like, bro, like, it's things like this that shouldn't have to be said. Because one, you was already distant with her at the, get together. And then y'all get home and you already trying to jump outside. Like, it just doesn't look good at all. And I think Katisha is trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, like, maybe this is just him. She's not trying to bring up her past into this current relationship, but there are some times where if you notice patterns that you've experienced with other relationships, that's a flag for you. And I hate that she's kind of putting it off. To make matters worse, Megan and Karen have a conversation about the night, and Megan literally calls it all out. She calls out how she's seen Javen with literally all the ladies flirting, which we all seen at the mixer. Like, he wasn't hiding anything, but Katisha's not around, so I can only imagine what else he was doing. She said every time she looked up, he was with either Anu, Yolanda, and definitely Sophie. And then the kicker is, him and Sophie went into a photo booth together. Like I told y'all in my last video, he's moving like he's one of the singles. And he very much might as well be at this point. He was already giving signs like this was not it. You can tell when someone is into you. I hate that Katisha is just kind of like having a blind eye to this. I wish there was some type of like footage or something so like she can see blatantly like this man is not it. Even though at the mingling thing that they were all just at, you could see it, but she was also in other conversations, so I don't know if she was paying that much close attention. He is a hot mess, and I just like how Karen, he's also like agreeing with her, like, yeah, this is what he's seen as well. Sarover is also getting Cal prepared to meet her family, and I think it's just nerves. Like they're very just nervous about how this is going to be about. Her mom has been texting her nonstop about this decision. And he's trying to reiterate to her, like, look, they don't know me yet. It will be okay. Like, I think it's starting to, like, trickle in his mind a little bit. Like, is this a little hesitancy there with Sarover about her mom or what her mom's reaction will be? But she reassures him like, look, I'm for you, I'm choosing you, and I'm gonna stand up for you. And I think he needed to hear that because everything went well with his mother and grandmother. They were so inviting and welcoming, so I think we're just hoping the same goes for them. And her mom may just be strict, but again, she doesn't know him, she hasn't met him, so she's gonna see in her face whether or not this is real for her daughter or not. Billy takes Ashley to meet his mom and sister, and I wasn't surprised. They're very welcoming. Ashley has that bubbly personality. It's hard not to like her. But then Billy also has a conversation with his sister, and I think it's starting to settle in for him. Like, okay, is this going to work? Because he's really still feeling strongly about this whole work situation. And you know what? I really don't like it, in my opinion, because you're so gun-ho about the work situation. Yes, it's a big thing that you may not see her as consistently like you would like because of her job. But when it came to like your lifestyle and stuff like that, she was so open to how he lives his life, being in the military. And there was no hesitancy behind all that. The way that he's going about this, it just gives me pause. Like, why is that same energy not reciprocated? I don't know. And I'm not going to be surprised if he pulls a fast one on all of us at the altar. Javen meets Katisha's family, her mother and siblings. The siblings didn't seem all that impressed, or I wouldn't say impressed, but they just didn't seem interested, and they went about their business to jump on the trampolines. But they did have conversations with her mom. Her mom said, I never really hound her on who she's dating or anything like that. But since you're the man who's trying to marry her, yeah, I have questions, rightfully so. And she asked the typical parent questions of, how's this going to work? What do you see in my daughter? And so forth. She also has a conversation with Katisha privately. And Katisha explains like how bad their communication has been so far, and how she's guarded, how he's guarded. And, I feel like her mom, to summarize it all, was just like, look, trust your instinct. Like, rely on your guts, not your spleen, on what you feel is right, what you feel is wrong. And I'm sure her mother has been, because Katisha has expressed she's had situations where men have done her dirty, and she's trying her hardest not to put that on to Javen. But it doesn't help when he's so guarded and really not, reassuring how she feels and that they're good. It's finally time to meet Sarover's mom. Her sister was also joined. And mom didn't. She went straight to business with the questions, face stone cold, like she ain't come to play. And I ain't gonna lie, my boy Cal, he was fumbling over his words. I don't know if it was just, the anxiety or the pressure or what he felt, but the way, I don't know about anybody else, the way he was just trying to explain his feelings and whatever similarities they have for each other, and mom isn't giving like any feedback with her face. It was just like, oh my God, I couldn't tell if this conversation was going good or if it was going bad, just the way it was going. But luckily Sarah spoke up. She did speak up. She was like, look, I never gave you any worry as your child of making wrong decisions. I want you to trust me. Like, I believe in this. I believe in him. I believe in us. Like, we're good. And Cal backed her up on that. He did like reiterate how he feels towards her. And I think that's eventually is what warmed her mom up. And she was like, wow, like y'all both speak so confidently about your relationship. So she was happy to see that. She was happy to see that they have each other's back and that they're actually serious. And at the end of it, she gave the blessing. So that was a big win for both Cal and Sarah. That was like their biggest stressor right now, was dealing with the feedback from her family. So hopefully now that she has her mother's feedback, they'll have an easygoing next couple of days, week before the wedding, so that when it comes to making that decision, there's still not that much pressure. Okay, let's get into our top couple now. Jed and Barda. Jed takes Barda to his house, and how he presented his house is what Javen, whatever that boy's name is, should have did with Katisha. He introduced that home like it was their home. She's, feeling invited. She's over here suggesting already how to make, feel more homey with the woman's touch. And yeah, it was giving. It was giving what it needed to give. Their chemistry has not left the building. Like, they are so into each other. And then his parents came over. They made some food. They had conversation. I feel like the mom was the more reserved one of the whole experiment, and just had questions. And they've admitted they haven't had any arguments, like any troubles or issues they've had to get over. Besides the one thing we seen back right after the pause was with the whole dominant thing. I'm surprised they didn't bring that up, but that was a red flag for the mom. She was like, "Look, that's not normal. Couples argue, and not all the time. And then these are also early days. Like, I'm sure the arguments will come later in life. You don't want to just spruce something up just randomly to see how y'all, react to it. So I know mom had a little bit of hesitancy, but I feel like they're still one of our strongest couples so far. How do y'all feel about Jed and Barda at this moment? Do you feel like they didn't have enough tests or trials in their relationship to get over? Or do y'all think like this is how it should be when you're doing this experiment and getting to know someone and getting ready to prepare to marry them? And back to the drama we go. So Megan invites Katisha over, and we can all assume what this conversation is about. She wants to share with Katisha. Katisha is her friend, of everything that she's seen after the mixer when Javen came out and what we seen at the beginning of this episode. So she breaks it down. Like, well, first she asked her like how she's feeling about, him, her not being there and him leaving. Obviously Katisha expressed like she was upset by it. But it is what it is. She kind of laughed it off. But then Megan was like, look, that man was basically in every woman's face. I ain't gonna lie to you. He was in every female's face for long periods of time. She even brought up him and Sophie, them going privately into the photo booth. And there was no picture taken in the photo booth at all. So obviously this infuriates her. Like, she's like, wow, like I really believed him. Megan's upset too because I guess Katisha has shared things about her past with Megan as well as Javen. So they're just like, wow, he's like really playing into what she's already been dealing with. So in my opinion, yes, I do feel like Megan is in the right to bring this up to, like, if you see her as your friend and this is information that you would want your friend to know, absolutely, for sure. He's out here, he's basically out here like acting like he outside. And even Megan said, like, me and Karen were the only couple there. All the other couples left or went home. And then here comes Javen. Like, that should have been a sign right there for him. Like, oh, you know what? Let me go back home and be with my fiance. Like, this seemed like more of a single mingling. My fiance not here, so we can't mingle together. But he was being selfish. Like, he was just thinking about himself and wanting to be in all these, girls' faces. And then Megan even brings up that they had a conversation, I guess, walking back to their apartment building. And he was like, she asked him, like, why were you talking with Yolanda for so long? Why were you talking to this person so long? And he says, well, they make me happy. They make me happy. And Katisha makes me happy. So, like, you're already messing up by placing these other women in the same category or whatever, or however you view Katisha, when Katisha should be at a whole nother level as someone who's your fiance. So I'm so happy she said something to Katisha. Y'all let me know down in the comments how y'all feel about Megan breaking the news. Do y'all ever even think Kieran was going to give her the full truth? Because he didn't give her the full truth the first time. And I don't think he was planning on telling her everything either, especially the whole Sophie mess. Let me know what y'all feel down in the comments. Literally not long after that conversation, Katisha went and gone and packed her bags. She is like, I'm out of here. And then, of course, here comes Javen. Like, what's going on? What happened? And Katisha confronts him like, look, I just talked to Megan and she just told me XYZ. And in a typical fashion, what does he do? Deny. Denied everything. I was not with those girls all night. I was with Sophie, but the curtain was not closed. Y'all, this man said he was in the photo booth because they were having an argument. First of all, why are you even arguing with another woman that ain't your woman? That's strike one. That's my first question. Two, why are you following after her to continue to argue? And why choose the photo booth? Y'all could have chose outside. Y'all could have chose another corner, but inside somewhere. Come on. Like, oh, child. And then, of course, like, she's still contemplating, like, do I believe him? Do I not? But she's also like, I don't see why Megan will lie. I don't see why Megan will lie. What would she benefit? This ain't a competition show. This is not a competitive show. It's either you get married or you don't. She was looking out for her friend. Javen, you messed up. You messed up. And then he sits there with this goofy behind smile on his face that he always does, and then also tries to switch it back on Katisha, like, oh, you gonna believe her over me, and then walks out. Excuse me? Hello? Are you dumb? Like, child, Katisha, that is all you needed to see. And that was it. Katisha, I guess that was her last straw. She wrote him a little note, which just more than I would have did. And she dipped up out of there, rightfully so. He read the note, ripped it up, threw it away, and got right back on his phone. And it just goes to show this was going to come to an end all along. Like, it was going to get to this point. He feels like he ain't do anything. There was other people there that can validate that he wasn't in other women's face and all this other blasey stuff. So, Katisha, I'm so glad you made that decision for yourself. You finally trusted in your instincts and got yourself out of a situation before, it could have ended up in a more hurtful or impactful place, especially bringing families involved for a whole freaking wedding. Just for him, he was going to turn around and say no. I feel like we all knew he was going to say no at the altar. So kudos to her for separating herself from this. And then this fool turns around to call his witness, Patrick, of all people, to basically corroborate with him in his story about what happened that night. And they just kikiing and hee-heeing on the phone. Patrick's like, no, you were with the guys. I don't understand why that's being said. And then again, here goes Patrick trying to turn it around on Katisha. Well, if she's easily influenced by other people's opinions, then it just wasn't right to begin with. I cannot wait for the reunion. That's all I'm gonna say. We are done seeing Javen. Unfortunately, we're done seeing Katisha too, but Javen, he can get off my screen. But when this reunion come out and all these other women speak up, he's gonna look like a dummy. Patrick already looked like a dummy. He's gonna look like the biggest dummy. So this didn't work in his favor at all. Billy also has another conversation with Ashley. They had like a cute little swim date, and he voices his concerns again about this whole career that she has and how that's going to fit into their marriage, and that he's 50-50 on whether it's going to be a yes or a no. And for good reason, Ashley's taken aback. She was full 100, and I get it. Like, they didn't have enough conversations about it, I guess, for him. And I don't know why all of a sudden, like, we're literally a week away from the wedding day, it's now settling in for him. But she's taken aback. Like, she's upset by it because she felt like, yo, this is it. We've talked about it in the pause. We're going to try to make it work. He's saying, look, I'm not saying I'm a no. I just need more conversation. But honestly, I feel like that's going to be his way of getting out of this, because he's experienced this with other women before, and he said himself it didn't work. His dad said himself it didn't work. So Ashley, be prepared, baby girl. I can see him also dipping out. Things heat up when Javen invites Megan and Kieran over his house to talk about Megan's conversation with Katisha, and which led to Katisha's decision to leave. And basically he's like, well, look, what did you tell her? And he's just like, look, I told her what I see. Like, I just gave her the facts of what I see with my own eyes. And of course, what does he do? He's tried to deflect. Well, I wasn't in no female's face the whole night. I was there for 2-3 hours. You mean to tell me you didn't see me with this guy? She's like, no, first of all, I'm not watching you the whole night. I'm still doing my thing, but every time I turn my head, you in another female's face. And then you and Sophie go in the photo booth, and he was so adamant that they went in the photo booth because there was an argument that Megan says it was not clear that there was an argument between the two. And then he claims that there was no curtain. Both Megan and Kieran, I'm glad he stepped up because Jaden's voice was getting a little too loud. Both said, no, the curtain was closed. So you're lying. Why would they make that up? You're blatantly lying. She's bringing up all the things he also discussed on their walk home. He's claiming, no, I didn't say that. Now, I don't know if this man was drinking and all of a sudden caught a case of amnesia, but that's what it was given. But Megan wasn't letting down. Like, she was like, you're not about to paint me out like a liar, because there would be she has no motive to do that. She don't want you. So I don't understand why she would make all this up. Child, it ended with her getting up, leaving, and crying. I think it was just more of tears of frustration. But, she did what she was supposed to do. She was looking out for her friend. If she would have kept that stuff to herself, I think it would have had a bigger impact and, a potential, distrust that Katisha could have had if she went full through with Javen, and Javen just laughing about it. Like, he thinks this is funny and it's a joke. And you were all about my character, my character. You showed how you were acting at the mixer. Again, like I said earlier in this video, I can only imagine what you were doing when no cameras were around and your girl was not there. So I don't know about y'all. Y'all let me know down in the comments. But I believe Megan. Like, I can see him doing everything. He was in their faces on camera, so we already know. And they were all flirting with him too, so I look at them girls sideways too. They also need some heat as well, but we'll see. Everything will come out. Everything will definitely come out. Episode 8 definitely peeled back the glam of family introductions to reveal the real emotional wounds underneath. Katisha's painful yet powerful decision to walk away from Javen showed that sometimes integrity matters more than staying. The confrontation between Megan and Javen was intense. It gave us one of the most dramatic, tearful moments yet. As boundaries blur and loyalty shift, season 2 is proving it's about more than pod love, it's about emotional truth. Thanks for watching. Next episode promises even deeper ripples when we get into these weddings. Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss a single moment of the fallout. See ya.